Welcome back, everyone. The iPhone 13 just came out, so let's go and compare it against the iPhone 11 Pro and see which specific iPhone you should go and pick up. Now, if you have all the money in the world, getting the iPhone 13s is probably the better way to go. They're going to last longer, they're going to be the better phone in the long term, but there are still some advantages for picking up an iPhone 11 Pro that are still pretty interesting. If you want to pick up either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you can definitely see that the iPhone 13 is a tad bit bigger than the iPhone 11 Pro. So the iPhone 13 has a 6.1-inch OLED panel on the front. The iPhone 11 Pro has a 5.8-inch OLED panel on the front. Now, both panels look good. I don't think there's a preference for me. I think both of them are pretty good. I've heard that the 13's panels are a little bit brighter, a little bit better here and there, but they both look pretty much the same. The iPhone 13's notch is a little bit smaller, but it makes such a little difference that I don't even remember to talk about it because it's so minor. The lightning port's at the bottom, and on the side, you actually do have a little bit of a different setup. You have a flat side on the iPhone 13, where the 11 Pro has a curved side. So there's a little bit of a difference there, but they did flatten the sides with the last generation. And on the back, we have glass backs on both, but this is one massive advantage for the iPhone 11 Pro. You have this frosted glass back that feels so good in the hand. This was the first iPhone to bring a frosted glass back, and in my opinion, this was one of the best iPhones Apple's ever made. This was my main phone I was using at a time, and I still love it. The iPhone 13 has that standard glass back. It still feels good, it still looks good, but I do prefer the iPhone 11 Pro's glass back for sure. The power buttons on the outside, triple camera setup on this phone. 13 has a dual camera setup, bigger battery on the iPhone 13 with better battery life, all that good stuff. I'll hit on that towards the end. IP certification on both as well, and that really pretty much covers it up on the outside. Now, kind of a minor thing to hit on, which is pretty much good for the long term, is the longevity of both of them. Now, with the iPhone 13, it just came out, so this phone is going to be supported for quite a bit of time. It's not like today this thing's going to be outdated. It's going to be here for a while. With the iPhone 11 Pro, on the other hand, this thing is also going to be supported for quite a bit of time. It's not like today this thing's going to be outdated. But you do have to keep in mind that this thing is 2 generations older than the iPhone 13. It's 2 years older than this phone. So theoretically speaking, the iPhone 11 Pro has the higher chance of not lasting as long as the iPhone 13, and is definitely not going to get as many software updates as the iPhone 13 either. So that's a minor thing to keep in mind. You're not going to feel the effects of it today, but 3, 4, 5 years from now, that's when you're going to start seeing that the 11 Pro is outdated, but the 13 is still here to stay. So in terms of that covers it up in terms of longevity. Now let's go into a speed comparison between both these iPhones. Now the iPhone 11 Pro has that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. With the iPhone 13 has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM as well. So let's go and see which one is the faster. iPhone between both of those. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background, as you guys can see. So let's get into it. Let's do their app stores. 3, 2, 1. And we were on 2 different panels on both, so we'll just kind of let this one slide. Let's go back onto the home screens on both of them, and let's go and start scrolling through and see if there's any differences. And the iPhone 13 is here, the 11 Pro is on the right side, and I don't really see that big of a difference between the two. Let's go and click on one of them, and yeah, I don't know, that's pretty close to between both. We try clock 3, 2, 1, and of course it doesn't open up on the iPhone 11 Pro. As always, we have a bunch of these third-party applications we can go and get into. Let's do Netflix. 3, 2, 1. And the 13 was faster. iPhone 11 Pro a little bit behind. Quizlet. 3, 2, 1. 13 again is the faster one. Dropbox. 3, 2, 1. Both were pretty close. They were almost identical between both of those. Bofa. 3, 2, 1. 11 Pro, it was a little bit slower there. The 13 was slightly faster. Let's do Thank You. 3, 2, 1. And the 13 was faster there. The iPhone 11 Pro only a little bit behind. Didn't really see a crazy big difference there either. So Snake vs. Blocks. 3, 2, 1. And the 13 is faster here again, but still very similar. I was expecting more of a difference, to be honest. Let's go and try Fruit Ninja. 3, 2, 1. And the 11 Pro was faster, but they were on 2 different versions. So, maybe the 11 Pro was actually faster there. Hopping out of this specific application, let's go and get into Temple Run 2. 3, 2, 1. And the 11 Pro does seem to be faster here. The 13, for some reason, was stuck on this downloading config screen. I have no idea what was going on in this phone. And eventually we do get into it. So I kind of made a video about this, but there's been some kind of download issue for my iPhone 13s. It seems the speed of the downloads are much slower than, even older iPhones, which is so crazy. So getting into this specific game, let's see if there's a big difference. And again, I don't think there's going to be a massive one. So let's go and hop out of this specific game. Let's go and get into stack 3, 2, 1. And I guess technically to load into the ad is faster on the iPhone 11 Pro, but the 13, I guess, is still stuck on the stack screen. So both of them kind of got stuck, which is so weird. So I think ultimately, very weird speed comparison this time around. I'm probably gonna say that the iPhone 13 is the faster one when it comes down to it. I think the iPhone 11 Pro did a good job still. I don't think it's like a much slower phone by any means, but I would probably say that the iPhone 13 is the faster one when it comes down to it. So in terms of speed, that covers it up here. Now let's go and hit on the cameras. Now on the back, like I mentioned, the iPhone 11 Pro has a triple camera setup, a wide angle lens, ultra wide, and a telephoto lens, where the iPhone 13 has that dual camera setup, a wide and an ultra wide sensor. Now in terms of the UIs on both, they kind of have the same thing going on like I've mentioned before, same photo mode, video mode. They both can do 4K at 60 on the front and the back, which is beautiful. The only main difference that I can see between both, the 11 Pro has that telephoto lens, but the iPhone 13 has this new cinematic mode, which is actually really cool. Like I mentioned before, I'm a huge fan of it, and I think it's easily one of its best features. I think having something like cinematic mode makes it that much better in my opinion. And that's probably one of the better aspects of the iPhone 13. Now, between these two, it is missing the telephoto lens, which does kind of suck a little bit. Hopefully, they do add it in with the next couple phones, but with the base models, it's still a pretty decent phone. You have that ultra wide sensor, which looks great. I will say the zooming in and out seems to be a little bit smoother from this phone than even older ones like the 11 Pro. So that's good. We're seeing some improvements, but I still think the 13 probably has a better looking lenses, for photos and everything. But the iPhone 11 Pro's camera is probably the more functional one. I mean, like I mentioned, you have that telephoto lens, which is great. You have that ability to zoom in a lot. And you also have that ultra wide sensor, the ability to zoom out a lot, where the 13 just has the ability to zoom out. The lenses are much bigger on the 13, so you're getting better image quality, I think, from the 13. But the images in that telephoto lens and the ability to shoot in the same resolutions on both is very good on both. I think the 11 Pro doesn't quite get as good of a camera and photos as the 13, but this is still a very good camera. If the 13's camera was a 10 out of 10, this one's like easily like a 9 out of 10 easily. This is very good. All it's missing is, cinematic mode. If it had cinematic mode, it'd be completely different. But other than that, I think the 13 is probably the winner here. So now we make it to the end of the video, and to be honest, if you have an iPhone 11 Pro, I would recommend keeping it. I wouldn't go to any of the iPhone 13 series at all, even the 13 Pro Max. The 11 Pro is still a very good phone. If you have all the money, then obviously go for it, but then you wouldn't buy a 13, you buy a 13 Pro or the 13 Pro Max. The 11 Pro is still a very good phone. I feel like this device still has a lot going for it. The build quality is amazing. It feels better in the hand than the iPhone 13. The triple camera setup on the back is beautiful. The display is still very, very good, and maybe it is not as good as the 13s, but it doesn't really matter at this point. They both have notches and everything, so they're pretty much the same thing. Performance was pretty close to the 13s, and the battery life is much better on the 13s, but this is still a pretty decent battery life. And if you want to get a cheaper flagship from a couple years ago, this is by far one of my favorite phones of all time, and I'd recommend you guys to pick it up. The 13 though is the better one though. I mean, it's obvious this one is the newer one, so if you have the money, I would recommend picking it up. The performance is better, the display is maybe better, I don't know, the notch is smaller, that's for sure. And battery life is better on the iPhone 13 as far as I tested. Full video on that coming soon. The cameras are better, kind of. The performance and the longevity are the main things I would go and upgrade to. Other than that, I would stick with an 11 Pro to be honest. So in terms of that covers it up there. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.